Well, good morning, everybody. This is Peter Hernandez. I'm your host for The Core Truth. It's great to have everyone on our podcast today, and I am super excited for my guest, Jason Mansfield from Knight Frank.
It's great to
Well,
be here.
yeah, welcome, Jason. Um, let's just start off maybe with a little bit about you and a little bit about Knight Frank.
Well, first of all, maybe should we start with maybe you recognize the office I'm in. Thanks for letting me sit in your office today. It's nice to be here in LA, and there are a few books that I thought were quite interesting. Things you would expect, like the Surfer's Journal here in your office, the brief history of surfing here in your office, but also you have a book on Buckingham Palace interiors,
Yes, of
and
course.
not one but two editions of the Wealth Report. I love it.
Well,
On brand.
I'm a big fan of the Wealth Report, and I'm a big fan of Knight Frank. And I also told you, Jason, that my favorite city in the world is London.
As is mine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's great to be here. And to answer your question, a little background on me. So I am based in London in the headquarters for Knight Frank. We'll go into Knight Frank in a little bit, but my role is to look after the relationship with Douglas Elliman and the clients that are buying or selling in the U.S. So I've been in that been in the U.K. now for coming on 9 years. Can you believe? And it's been a lovely time. Before that, I worked for Douglas Elliman in New York, and I was with DE for 10 years in New York. So nearly 18 years of my life have been with DE in one way or another. So it's been wonderful.
It was kind of almost a coincidence how you ended up in London and with Knight Frank, and our good friend and CEO Stephen Kotler had a little bit of input along the way on that.
Yeah, exactly. I was working in New York. I was managing the office down in the West Village, and Stephen Kotler was still COO in New York. And so when I put in my notice to Stephen, he said, "Well, would you like to work for Knight Frank?" Well, yeah, I would like to work for Knight Frank. He said, "Well, look, I can't make any promises. Let me see what I can do." And it just so happened that right as I was moving over, there was an opening on the U.S. desk. So I was incredibly fortunate, and I don't buy lottery tickets anymore because I cashed in all my good luck, and that's now been coming up to 9 years this September.
I love that. I love that. So give us the story on Knight Frank. Talk to us a little bit about Knight Frank. What's the backstory?
Yeah, so Knight Frank is a global property company headquartered in London. We got our start selling these kind of big, drafty Downton Abbey type country houses out in the English countryside, rolling hills and sheep, and I mean, just picture Downton Abbey, and you've got the idea. We started then moving into London proper, selling big houses, and we were really strong at the top end of the market. And then after the dot-com burst in 2000, we started really specializing in everything below 10 million pounds. So, now we capture the whole of the market. We have over 30 offices in London, and we're the main player in the London and then UK real estate space. We have expanded constantly. We're now in 58 territories. We have 604 offices and 25,000 employees. And I think that's the important point, is that, everybody at Knight Frank, we're salaried. We're not independent contractors. And so the benefit to that is, we have one database with all of our clients on it. We have 31% of Forbes billionaires, direct access to Forbes billionaires, for example. So the advantage is that we really are able to know our clients really well.
Yeah, that is a huge advantage. You're not a franchise. You're
Exactly.
you're independently owned. You're a private company, and you have total control of the database and everything, which is fantastic. And it's been a wonderful relationship with Douglas Elliman. When we say that talk to us a little bit about like what countries you're in and how the global network works.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, of the 58 countries, there are places that you would expect us to be. So, New Zealand, uh, Australia, Hong Kong, mainland China, Indonesia, India. I mean, the list goes on and on. And in Europe, because I know there's a big connection with America and Europe, especially in the summertime, Americans come over by the busload. And we're in the places that you would expect us to be: Paris, Italy, the south of France, Spain, Portugal. We just expanded in the Nordics. So we have offices in Sweden, Iceland, Finland, and Denmark. And it's, I think, something that's really special about Knight Frank is that we're all a family, and that's, for me, one of the things that I really like about working at Knight Frank is that, the Allison in Paris cares just as much about LA as you do. And if I call Bill in Italy and say, we're seeing a lot of Italians coming through for this property, can we get some social media on it? Or Swedes are, this property has, it would really fit the kind of Scandinavian lifestyle. Can we get some promotion for this in Sweden? That is all right there at our fingertips. And that's the one thing that I really like about it, is that we are all a family. Some of the other competitors in the marketplace, they're just only concerned about their little backyard. This is just my little piece, but kind of baked into our culture, because we're a partnership. We have 74 equity partners. We're not answerable to shareholders. And because we're a partnership, inherently we're collaborative. I mean, at our core, we are collaborative, and it does feel like a family, because the people that we that work for us are at the best of their game. If they're not, we don't keep dead wood on the books, because it costs us money. So if somebody's not, performing at their best, of course we'll try to help them. But if it's not the right fit, then it's not the right fit. So we're very fortunate in that the people that are working with Knight Frank are really at the top of their game, and also kind of have our values distilled to their core.
I think we're coming up on 10 years now, our relationship with.
Indeed, we are. So we started seeing each other, started flirting back in 1920, if you can believe. So
Wow.
We were doing a few deals back in 1920, and then of course we had the World War and this and that, and we kind of were on again, off again, seeing each other, and then we started officially dating properly in 2009, and then got married in 2014. So we're coming up on 10 years this fall, and I'm super excited to for a few ideas we have to kind of celebrate that 10-year anniversary. But again, it just goes to show you that Knight Frank, we don't jump into things. We don't need to just form an alliance with someone just because we are very deliberate. We are very we think a lot about what we are doing before we do it. And the benefit is that we are able to work with partners that that have the values that we do, and the client management expectations.
I think it was a marriage made in heaven, because I think Elliman shares that kind of more slow, thoughtful growth. There's strategy in everything we do. There's a lot of thought in everything we do. I think both companies are very protective of their brands, and companies that want to make sure that their image and and the perception about our firms are held in the highest esteem and regard. That's what I love about our relationship, and I love the collaboration in our two companies, because I think we're both extremely collaborative in our approaches to business, and I know we work really, really well together. Whether we're pitching listings, or we're helping our clients sell their properties, or we're helping buyers find properties around the world. It's a great relationship. Talk to us a little bit about the way you view the collaborative efforts of Elliman and Knight Frank, and the advantage that there's a real Knight Frank Elliman advantage, I think, for our clients.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too. I mean, I've seen agents use the Knight Frank partnership in a number of ways. One of them is agents taking our research. So the research that we have, we jointly brand with Douglas Elliman, so it has the joint logo on it, and Elliman agents are able to take that research and show that they're thought leaders in when it comes to ultra high net worth individuals. So, I've seen agents. I mean, I'll just thumb through the wealth report. I mean, there'll be this graph here, for example, how many square meters of prime property will $1 million buy you in select markets? So an agent can sort of snip that online, post it on their Instagram, post that on LinkedIn. And the interaction that agents get is really always very inspiring, and also it leads to business. The other way I'd say is, all the Douglas Elliman listings are on the Knight Frank website if they're above 1 million US. So anything above $1 million will be on the Knight Frank website. So if any of our clients in Sydney or Hong Kong or Paris or wherever searching for properties in the US, wherever it is, they type in the location they want to be, and then all of the Douglas Elliman listings come up. So that gives Douglas Elliman Properties exposure globally, because we're not as well known in the US because we do everything and have done everything through Douglas Elliman. You can't just show up in the US, plant your flag, and say I'm selling real estate. So we're not as well known here, but we're exceptionally well known in Europe and Asia and Middle East, and people originate on our site.
Well, I really love how we collaborate in the sense that like we'll run parallel PR stories on properties, or we'll market properties parallel, on our websites, and cross market each other's properties, and also, use our resources to help our buyers find properties. Like if we have American buyers looking in England or London or somewhere around the world, we can contact you directly. We have this relationship. It's not putting a flyer in an office in Italy and expecting someone in Italy to sell our condo. No, it's much more targeted and direct, because we know which Americans are buying condos in Italy, or which Italians want to buy something in America. So it's a much more, I think, real relationship than typical international relationships with brokerages, because they're maybe just a website post, or maybe we translate languages. I mean, we do all that. That's kind of the ho-hum stuff. But where it goes above and beyond is when when you're coming to America to talk to our clients about how you're going to market the property internationally, or vice versa. We're in your neck of the world and working with you to help your clients. So to me, the collaboration goes far deeper and far more meaningful than the typical international relationships that you see out there.
I think you're right, and on the pitching thing, you raise a very good point about pitching, because we constantly help Douglas Elliman agents pitch for listings. I remember once we had a pitch for a property, and the owner was Polish, so I was able to get our office in Warsaw to join the pitch and actually kind of give the Knight Frank pitch in Polish, and that just shows you. I mean, again, we're so collaborative that, again, our office in Warsaw was happy to devote 30 minutes to literally doing the Knight Frank pitch and having a conversation with that owner in Polish. And we're always happy to activate different parts of the network to help Douglas Elliman agents win listings.
Well, one of my favorite things you did for us is we had a very, very expensive listing in Malibu that wasn't selling, and it was, a very unique property, and it was difficult to price because it wasn't large in square footage, yet it had a location and a design and some elements about it that made it very, very, very special. And I remember we were trying to convince our client that they needed to come down in price a bit to become competitive, and our client would have nothing to do with it. And so, we called you guys up, you got on the phone with us, and you started talking where this property fit in the scheme of things throughout the world. How did it compare to a property on the Amalfi Coast? How did it compare to a property in Monaco? How did it, and when the client saw that, and being that it was an oceanfront property and being that it was a property in Malibu, they recognize because they travel in those circles. Yeah, I could buy in Malibu or I could buy in Italy or I could buy in Singapore. You know what I mean? So there's all these markets that compete internationally with our local markets. And lo and behold, you got us a price reduction and we were able to sell the property for the client. And the client was extremely pleased. So that's just like one of my favorite stories, but there's so many. I mean, we could talk about stories about the successes we've had. I think we helped you guys make a big sale in your neck of the world and vice versa. So maybe we'll write a book on these stories someday and let the world know how we work together.
We should look at that for the anniversary for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think what Knight Frank is probably best known for, which is, a real credit to you, and I think a real focus of yours, and that is client management, the service that you provide your clients. Talk to us a little bit about the kind of services you provide and what you do to really maintain great client relations.
Well, look, you're not going to be at the top of the game if your client management isn't on point. And it's important that all of our I's are dotted, all of our I's are dotted and all of our T's are crossed. These clients are staying in the best hotels in the world. They're used to, getting what they want when they want it. And so, we started several years ago really working on ensuring that our clients receive best in class customer service. But even more than that, I think it's so important for us as a company because, again, we are very relationship driven. Being a partnership, for us, it's all about relationships and is about the long term. It's not about the deal right now. It's about the deal 10 years from now. And we definitely play the long game. And it's important for us to know our clients. Do they collect watches? Do they collect cars? Are they, what schools did they go to? What university did they go to? Where did their kids go to school? Where did their kids go to university? And through that, we're able to build a bigger picture and a more rich, picture of what makes our clients tick, because it's important for us to really understand what makes them tick. What are they optimistic about? What are they worried about? What are they thinking about the future? What are they thinking about the present? And that helps us make better decisions, but also it helps us guide the client when it comes to thinking outside the box, maybe, or when it comes to ensuring that they really do receive the best in class customer service.
Well, you express a lot of those findings in a more general way through the Wealth Report. The Wealth Report is a fabulous publication that you guys do that I love giving to my clients, and I have some friends that just can't wait for the next Wealth Report to come out because it talks about the desires, it talks about the concerns, it talks about how money is moving around the globe. It covers the subjects that our clients are really, really interested in, like which real estate markets are on fire, which ones are fading a little bit right now. And it's done in such a concise and scientific and well-researched way. I think it has to be one of the best publications out there right now when it comes to wealth and real estate.
I mean, it is the only publication, to be honest, Peter, when it comes to wealth and real estate. And additionally, it's not just real estate. You have the luxury investment index, where we do track the value of watches and art and cars and everything else. We talk about environmental impacts. We talk about a wide range of subjects because, again, we really need to know, what are our clients thinking, and further to that, the banks that we have relationships with, they want to know what are their clients thinking, and they use the Wealth Report. We do presentations to all the big banks in London, all the big family offices in London, in Switzerland, Monaco, everywhere. We do these one-on-one presentations to the banks, and we do client events with them as well. And again, I kind of keep going back to this, but it's not about this, because it's not about the sale today. It's about the bigger picture. And, we're helping this banker understand their client. So they're going to come to us whenever Jane Doe says, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking about selling my place in Paris."
Well, I want to talk about a couple of my favorite stories in the Wealth Report in this edition, the ones that really caught my attention. But before we go there, we talk a lot about ultra high net worth individuals, and I think we all know that's wealthy people. But what is the definition of a high net worth? What is it? A high
Ultra high
ultra
net worth
high net worth
individuals. Yeah, you did
individual?
it
Yeah.
right. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is someone or a family that has net assets of 30 million US dollars or more. So that's the industry standard definition of someone who's an ultra
So
high
when
net worth
somebody
individual.
looks at wealth like that, are they only interested in what someone has in the bank in liquid funds, or do you look at
The
maybe
overall
the
picture, the
appraised
big picture.
value, the overall picture? Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody
Exactly.
could have 30 million in the bank, or they could live in a $30 million house. It's free and clear, and either way they'd be worth. Okay, good. All right. So
Yeah.
it's a 30 million above.
Exactly.
And let's talk about that a little bit. It's not on our subject, but you've tracked recently, like what do you call it? The wealth, either attrition or accumulation. Like how many of these people are entering the market, and how many people are going out of the market, either because they're having reversals in fortune or they're having boons in fortune, I guess, how to think of it.
Yeah. I mean, if we were talking this time last year, we would be talking about $10.1 trillion that was wiped off balance sheets in 2022.
Mhm.
But last year, 2020, we saw that wealth creation returned, and there were an additional 25,300 ultra high net worth individuals created last year, and the value of their cumulative value of their portfolios was 759 billion. So an additional 25,000 ultra high net worth individuals, and their cumulative portfolios and their cumulative wealth was 759 billion. And so I think for us, it's obviously with, you know, the interest rate headwinds and everything else, with the geopolitical situations that are going on basically on every corner of the globe, it's important for us to remember that actually, you know, wealth creation did return, and that there are direct implications for real estate.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, a subcategory of that is women and Gen Z wealth. And I really love this article because I just really love the idea of women becoming wealthy. I have a daughter that I'm so proud of, and I'm watching her. And, talk about women and Gen Z wealth, and how are they feeling about getting wealthy, and how is that playing out in the world?
Yeah. So this year we really wanted to understand what the implications for generational wealth, inheritance, and things like that. When we create the wealth report, we survey over 650 ultra high net worth individuals, their family offices or their bankers, and this year we found that 81% of affluent female Gen Zs expect to grow their wealth this year. So I think that's really important for us to note, because there are absolutely direct implications for real estate for the future, and that's around sustainability. It's important that we really understand what the new wealth, the new affluent population will want in their properties, and what makes them what they're concerned about and what they want to see. And one of the things I thought was interesting is that The Economist really took that and unpacked it a bit. So they just ran a story, I think it was last month, that said that a 21-year-old in 2019 was making on average 40 grand a year versus, so that's the Gen X population. They were making 40,000. But my generation, Gen X, when I was 21, my generation when they were 21 was at 28,000. Gen Zs are definitely making good money, and further to that, there's also a lot of stats around inheritance and kind of how the Gen Z population seems to be on track for a good a good future.
That's really exciting, I think. I know we've covered a lot in the current state of global wealth, but is there anything else you want to talk about when you think of global wealth and where it's going?
I think right now, certainly we're seeing a lot of Americans, especially in Europe. And I said earlier that they're coming by the busload. I really mean it. And in basically every market. And, I get an email because we have one database. I get an email every day for whenever there are whenever an American registers, so that we can prompt the agent, because we're very we have targets, and we're referrals are kind of baked into how we operate. And so I get an email every day that says, these 6 Americans registered on the system yesterday. And then we go back to the Knight Frank agent that registered those clients and say, here's how we can help your client in America, just so that they have it to their fingertips. And we've gotten several leads out of it that we've been able to feed back into DE. And
Wow.
and I'd say that definitely the tide is turning, is not turning. The tide is flowing in the direction of Europe right now, just simply because of the exchange rate. I mean, it's, the pound is, what is it, $1.29 or something like that. I mean, it's incredibly low. It likes to live about 160. It's been low for quite some time. Same with the euro. Sweden, my word, it's a wonderful time to be buying in Sweden. And so, we're certainly seeing the tide flow in the direction of Europe. And Douglas Elliman agents are able to make easy money just by making referrals. It's just as simple as sending an email or sending me a text, and that referral fee will come through. So
A lot of my
yeah.
friends are talking about it too. So it seems to be in line with the conversations I'm having with many of my friends who are saying, God, I want a place in Europe or a place in London. Is there any area in Europe that Americans are particularly focused on?
Well, I mean, I know for sure London, and there's an education consultant I work with, and he's really at the top of his game. So he gets kids into Eton, into Harrow, into Winchester, all the top tier schools in the UK. He if you want to get a kid into an exceptional school, you go to Richard Northey. Well, I had lunch with him before I came out on this trip, and he said, about 55% of my clients right now are American. I said, well, that's interesting. What was it pre-COVID? And he thought about it, and he said, I don't know, 25%. So I know for sure that tracks with what I'm hearing from our local offices in the UK, and primarily centered around London. A bit up in Edinburgh. Americans do love Scotland, but London, with exceptional connectivity to the US. In one flight, you can basically get to anywhere you need to go in the US. So, and because it's, obviously the capital and the biggest city in Europe, the capital of the UK and the biggest city in Europe, it is certainly a magnet. And so I would say, out of all of the cities, London would be at the top of the list in terms of American expats moving abroad.
I might lose my daughter to London, actually. She was, while she was ambassador, she got to go to London twice, one to study at the London Academy of Drama. What's it called?
RADA.
Music and Drama. No,
Yeah.
Lambda.
Oh,
and then
okay.
and then she went to RADA too. So she did go to the
Nice.
Royal Academy of Drama. She got to go to both those schools.
Amazing.
She goes, Dad, I got to live in London. This is where I've got to go. And so I don't know how
It
that
has it all.
happens. Yeah, but she flipped. She loved it. I mean, I could see why I like it too.
Yeah.
Let's go into the fun part of wealth, collectibles. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of art and cars and watches and whiskeys and all that good stuff.
And all the fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this year we saw, so we track, as you said, I mean, purses, I mean, we track all sorts of luxury collectibles, and the value of those luxury collectibles decreased by about 1% this last year. And I think that that's largely because a lot of that money moved into the equity space, because equities were performing so well last year and did perform so well. I think they were up 33%. But the value of collectibles did decrease. Whiskey was down by 9%. The value of collectible cars was down by 6%. But there were absolutely standout performers in each category, despite there being declines. So for cars, for example, down 6%. However, there was a record price for a Ferrari, 51.7 million. A bottle of 1926 Macallan sold for 2.7 million. There was a blue diamond that sold for, I think it was 43.8 million. There was a ring by Tupac he designed, and then Drake bought it for $1 million. Now, it wasn't a standout in terms of the asset itself. It did achieve something like 2 or 3 times over the estimate of what it would at auction. But it just points to, if you have a best-in-class object or a best-in-class property, if we want to relay this back to real estate, if you have a best-in-class piece of property in a best-in-class location, when it comes with notable provenance, you will receive a best-in-class price. And I think that's really important for us to remember, that it's important, the old adage, location, and it's true. Ensuring that your clients are buying, that you're not just thinking about the deal today, you're thinking about the deal when it comes back to market, and they come to you to sell it. Do you want to resell this property? We ask ourselves that question when we sell something to someone all the time. Would we want to resell this property to someone else? And I think, there's a read through for real estate when it comes to noting that, a best-in-class asset and a best-in-class location will achieve a best-in-class price, despite the headwinds.
Wow. Well, thank you, Jason, for being on The Core Truth. This has been just absolutely fascinating. And for those of you that are listening now or will listen in the future to this podcast, if you have any interest in meeting or talking with Jason, or learning more about how to buy property overseas, or if you're overseas and you want to buy something in America, please reach out to me, and I will absolutely make that contact for you. You can email me at peter.hernandez@elliman.com, or you can reach me on Instagram, phernandez on Instagram, and I'm happy to make that introduction to Jason, so that you can accomplish your dreams and desires.
Absolutely. And I think as well, even if someone listening today isn't an Elliman agent, we're always happy to receive referrals from other agents, and we're happy to honor the same referral fee structure that we have with Douglas Elliman. So always please do get in touch with Peter if we can ever help any of your clients, whether you're at Douglas Elliman or elsewhere.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Jason. This is Peter Hernandez. This is The Core Truth, and we'll see you next week for another one.